Yep. We all have all busyness, but we're backed, fully funded.
Backed,
It's
fully
exciting.
funded, ready to go.
1 year since the first album.
1 year since the first album. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's do some glows and grows, just like to actually round off that segment because we kind of just meandered.
Yeah.
So glows and grows. So let's go and list. How about 2 glows, 1 grow each?
All right.
Sound good? You want to start us off?
Let me think about it. You go first.
Okay. So I'll start off with one of my glows. One of my glows is actually coming and doing a completed project. As someone with ADHD, I have this long list of projects that I have started and never finished. And so to actually see a project through from beginning to a published product is a huge glow for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you going to do a second glow?
Oh no, we're alternating.
Oh, alternating.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're up.
I don't know. Being on a project like this was pretty cool in that, you kind of gave me some creative license to put an arrangement of a hymn together. And I've been doing that for a while, but it was cool to actually do it and get it to you, and you seem to like it and
that one
put it on the album.
That one is actually probably going to be the one that I keep using the most in church.
Yeah.
I feel like the other songs are going to kind of fade away. Like they're not going to catch on like the songs on Christ the Hope of Glory.
Yeah. Well, it was such a different project. Like,
yeah.
I think the one that could stick around the most would be The Home That He Has Promised, because of that just how can I keep from singing?
Yeah.
Melody is so timeless. But yeah, I think you're right in terms of that. I think both of those in particular just have that timelessness to them where they just stick around. But for me, it was, you were like, hey, why don't you put a hymn together? And I'm like, all right, well, this is kind of like what I'm thinking, guys. And this is how I played it for Dan and played it for the team. And they were like, we like it. Let's do it. So that was cool. That was the first time I ever did anything like that. Not like arrange a hymn, but like arrange it for an album.
Yeah.
Because Dan, as we've written some stuff together. I've written some stuff on my own that probably will never see the light of day.
I know that feeling.
But out of the two of us, Dan just thrives as a songwriter, and admittedly I'm still trying to find my voice in songwriting.
Dude, you do great with these hymn arrangements.
Thanks.
So many people have said after the concerts, dude, Rock of Ages was so good.
Yeah.
So you have a gift for bringing, like, recontextualizing these old songs, these old hymns, and then kind of bringing them to the table. And people who would never have a hymn are going to go like, ooh, that looks good.
Yeah, I had someone when we did the concert at your church. I had another pastor come up to me. He says, he started off, he was like, I got to tell you, I hate Rock of Ages. I was like, oh gosh. I was like, well, he was like, well, let me finish. But the way you guys played it, that's the way we should sing this song. And I was like, oh gosh, dodged a bullet. But yeah, I appreciate that, Dan. I mean, but
do you know what you're doing?
What?
You know how, like, sometimes to get our kids to eat vegetables, we like smother them in cheese or hide them inside of a donut?
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. You are smothering these hymns with cheese and saying, "Hey, CCM world, take a look at this."
I hope I'm not detracting from him.
No, you're. Well, we won't ask Lindsay, but
Well, she
um,
liked He Leads Me.
yeah. For reference, Lindsay very much loves hymns in their original settings,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so
So,
putting Rock
well,
of Ages in 4 was a sin.
yeah. I just completely changed the hymn all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
no, it was a glow to me because I don't usually, um, I don't thrive as a songwriter, I guess, right now, and I'm still trying to find my voice and footing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the songwriter of us, and I just make his songs sound beautiful, like his wife. We
Mm-hmm.
just sing his songs. And well, I mean, you ask me stuff all the time. Hey, does this make sense? Or
Mm-hmm.
can you listen to this? And I'll give my input. But anyway, that was pretty big for me.
Yeah.
So that was long winded. Sorry.
If I can have you to bounce the ideas off of, like, once you're willing to do one of these songs, I'm like, okay, now we got something.
Yeah.
Um, so I'll go with the grow next. So I'm going to do the glow grow glow sandwich.
Mm,
Um, for my big grow from the last album is actually, I'm not going to go with the musical side. The part that I needed to grow the most in is on the business side,
mm,
especially when it comes to marketing, financing, promoting. And so that's been one of the big focuses I've had with Christ the Hope of Glory, especially with the Kickstarter, is not just throwing it out there. Because what happened with the last one is we kind of like, we took forever to record it, and I was just so ready for it to be done that we rushed the launch.
mm-hmm.
And you can tell no one's heard of the home that he has promised. And that's okay. I also
My
did a
family
terrible I've done a terrible job marketing it. And so this time around it's like, okay, well, let's see how can, like, and the reason why I'm focusing so much on it is because I believe in these songs. I believe that these songs that we're writing and we're singing are good for the church and good for Christians to sing.
Mm,
And so we have to be good stewards of what we've been given.
mm-hmm.
And that's good stewards musically, making it sound the best that we can make it sound. Good stewards, like in the writing process, making the songs the best that we can make them, but also good stewards in a business marketing perspective, where we're supporting these songs the best that we can, so that they can be like, you don't have a light and then you go to hide the light. You put the light out where people can see it. And so part of this, the marketing side and the business side and the Kickstarter side is about supporting these songs to reach a wider audience than they normally would.
Yeah, I think that's something that we're growing in even now, though. Like the big thing that people follow, right? And this is just me and you having conversation at this point. But if anybody, whoever listens to this, whether it be our backers or something, and you guys have a project, people are interested in stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Dan and I are still developing that and trying to figure what that is in Lock and Kane, and Dan kind of really honing in on that on the worshiping songwriter, and you know, and how we communicate that effectively, so that we can do these projects, right? So like the Christ of Hope of Glory is a fun passion project of ours that we hope just kind of grows into churches singing these songs, and then communicating that, like, we're interested in one thing, you know, writing and arranging hymns that are theological and beautiful. That's what we're interested in. And so we're trying to express that in a narrative that people can buy into.
Writing
So
songs to know Christ and make him known.
exactly. So I agree with you, Dan. I think the grow in the process would be an outside voice outside of us. Like when we were going through the first album, I had so much going on. Um, Looking back, I was partially probably like going through some sort of depression.
Hmm.
Uh, there was a lot going on just in that time. Some other family things and some emergencies and stuff, but um, being able to have somebody who's kind of like more in tune with producing music than you and I are,
Mm-hmm.
like you and I are pastors, right? Like, and this is all really new for us. And probably, admittedly, you're kind of more in tune now than we were in the past with production and maybe like mixing. My world in sound reinforcement has always been live mixing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Live mixing for either live streams or like live rooms like that. So that's kind of my expertise. But producing a recorded product is completely different from all those things. And so a grow is something that we're doing even now is getting, a guy who knows what he's doing and works in a studio, and our friend who actually played bass on the first album, and he's going to play bass on this one, and him producing it. I think that's a grow that we've already made that decision to get somebody else's ear and somebody
Mm-hmm.
else's eyes on everything.
Yep. Okay, so I guess that brings me to my last low. I think one of the things that I just look back on is just I'm so proud of the band.
Mm.
Just working together with everyone to make this happen and the amount of time and dedication that they gave to the project. I am so appreciative of them, and it is one of those core memories that I get to hold on to and go, hey, these guys are great, and I get to make music with them.
Yeah,
So, Big
and
Glow is
they're all
the
friends.
yeah. Yeah, Big
Mhm.
Glow is the relational side of this.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar, and being able to do this with them, because typically, people like our friends Kenny and Claire, who we had on a few episodes ago, go to a producer, and the producer finds musicians and they
Mhm.
plug them in, and then you work with musicians maybe you've worked with in the past because you've done a project with them, or you haven't, and you kind of have to get a feel for them and what they kind of bring to the table, because people just play differently.
Mhm.
And some people can play lots of different genres and different things, but it's cool to have somebody that people that we know personally who are dedicated Christians of the faith. Number one, number two are phenomenal musicians. Like they're just good,
Yeah.
like really good. And so this time around, we have new people like Tim Gramling coming on, who's just a really good piano player. Like, and he's grown into that.
Mhm.
And people like Nate, and Sean and, your wife and
Colin.
Kay and Colin. We're going to have a cello on this album. Just guys who are just also bought into what we're doing, you know, and honestly, that just saves us money too. They're interested in doing this because they're family, right? They're friends.
Yep.
And it's amazing that we get to know and be a part of these musicians' lives because they're just that, they're family and friends.
Yep. And that's why I always hate to hear whenever I'm in an employment situation and the boss goes, "We're family here." I'm like, that's not good because I want to be paid for what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And it's not that I don't think they believe we're taking advantage of them. I think they want to be a part of it,
yeah.
right? I know for Nate, he tells me all the time. He was like, Jared, if anything happens and you go on tour with the Shanes, you better take me. He
Yep.
was like, I just want to get paid to play the drums and teach the Bible. Is that too much to ask?
There we go.